So we are recording, but again, just a little housekeeping. If you are planning on coming to the conference, which is coming very quickly, please try and register by the end of the week if you haven't already. Your first two tickets per affiliate are free. Any tickets after that are $50 per person. Um, I had that. And then the other thing is if you or you know another affiliate who may not be on, was affected by Milton or Helene and they're interested in getting some help with cleanup supplies or funds for volunteers or whatever that looks like, please send me an email as soon as possible. I do have a little bit of money that I'm going to be kind of dividing between those that were most affected. So please go ahead and send that to me. Really, if you could do it by the end of the week, that would be great. Also, happy Thursday. We've made it through almost a whole nother week. This is our second lecture that we've done in our series so far. I'm really excited. And we will be taking a break for November and December just because of the holidays and conference and everything else. But I will be picking back up in January with a new lecture. Once I get that information, I will send it out once the date gets a little closer. So anyways, I just wanted to introduce Eric and Karina. They're both with TerraCycle. They will be doing our lecture today. They have a really great program ahead. We're going to learn a little bit more about what TerraCycle does, and then also they're going to dive deeper into their cigarette program. I know several of our affiliates do already use this program, which I think is great, but I think there is a lot of affiliates that are just kind of lightly aware of it or just, haven't had a chance to kind of get a little bit more information. And I think this is going to be really great for those affiliates that are looking to expand their programming. And this is another really great way to do it. So I will go ahead and give it away to Eric and Karina. Thank you both so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Sherry. It's really our pleasure. And hello, everyone. I'm thankful for the opportunity to share with everyone today information about our free cigarette waste recycling program. But first, we're going to give you a little bit of a background on TerraCycle and what it is we do. So I'm sitting here with Karina in our global headquarters, which is based in Trenton, New Jersey, just about 40 minutes north of Philadelphia. And here, about half of our employees worldwide report to our Trenton office. We've got about 500 employees worldwide in 20 different countries, and about half of them report to our Trenton office. If you are ever in the Trenton area, please reach out. We would love to give you a tour of our very, very interesting headquarters. We just gave a tour earlier today to a group of clean community coordinators from New Jersey, and our headquarters are really dynamic. This is one of our conference rooms. This is called the sign room. All our conference rooms are decked out in trash and waste, and like these our chairs here are old minivan chairs here. So it's really a fun place, and we love to give tours. So our actual recycling facilities are elsewhere outside of but our business headquarters are in Trenton. And what it is, so we are TerraCycle is a mission-driven company. We've been around for about 22 years now, and our mission is to eliminate the idea of waste. And we do this by working through a few different lines of businesses and modes. We work to help brands make their products recyclable. So we take things that are not traditionally recyclable. So not things like we typically don't deal in things like bottles and cans and cardboard, things that are readily recyclable curbside, but we deal with everything else. And we have material scientists on staff that work with packaging and products and figure out how to recycle them. And then we work with brands to get them to fund these programs so that we could then provide them in turn to communities, to municipalities, school districts, KAB affiliates, and so forth, free of charge. And then one of the things we do is we work to integrate these difficult to recycle materials into consumer packaging to increase the amount of recyclable materials that are used in various brand packaging. And then we have a division called Loop that specializes in making things reusable. So we all recognize the importance of recycling, but we know on a larger level what we need to do is reduce the amount of things we consume and use. And one way of doing that is by making packaging recyclable. And our Loop program is huge in parts of the world, including Japan and France, where there are whole aisles dedicated to reusable packaging that can be reused over and over again. And then through our Loop system, we sanitize the packaging, ship it back to the manufacturer, kind of like the milkman of the old days, totally negating the need to throw things out. So that's one of our divisions. And real quickly now, we're gonna start off by sharing with you a video. This is a recent news story that talks about TerraCycle and our primary MRF, our primary sorting facility, which is actually located in Aurora, Illinois, just on the outskirts of Chicago.
At Verizon, every phone can be the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. Wow, phones are going to be flying to Verizon.
Switch to Verizon and get the new iPhone 16 Pro and get a new iPad and Apple One all on us, only on Verizon.
Recycling the nearly unrecyclable is not a futuristic idea. That's thanks to innovation happening right now in the western suburbs that could help Chicagoland reduce waste. Plastic and aluminized chip bags. Tens of thousands of contact blister packs. Used bath products, cosmetics, children's toys, even cigarette butts, all packed into a 140,000 square foot facility in Aurora. You name it, TerraCycle is working to recycle and reuse what was once thought of as unrecyclable. While there are companies focused on recycling single products, for example, recycling just batteries or only cosmetic products, TerraCycle claims it is the only company working to recycle hundreds of waste streams.
TerraCycle now, across 20 countries, is focused on how do we eliminate the idea of waste.
Tom Zaki is the CEO of the recycling company working to take what would normally be landfill waste and bring it back to the consumer ecosystem. The money to do it comes through brand underwriting, corporate and municipal partnerships, and paid consumer programs. TerraCycle gets about 800 to 1,000 of these boxes delivered to this facility in Aurora every single day, full of items that would normally end up in a landfill but can be recycled, like these used coffee pods and so much more.
Dirty diaper recycling or cigarette butt recycling, the cost of collecting this and transforming that into new materials way outweighs the value of those materials. So the solution is we have to get folks to pay for it.
The need for a more circular, ideally zero waste system is here. According to data from the city of Chicago, in 2022, city households only recycled 9.1% of the nearly 878,000 tons of waste that year. For suburban Cook County in 2022, households recycled just 18% of the over 1 million tons of waste. Here in Aurora, TerraCycle's largest single hub takes in waste from all over the country to be weighed, scanned, and sorted before being sent to facilities to turn these items into their most basic components, crushing, sanitizing, melting down, and repurposing plastics and polymers, fibers, paper-based pulps, alloys, and other metals.
When you see a bale like this, I mean, what goes through your mind? Because where would this end up if it wasn't here at TerraCycle?
Both looking at this bale and looking up around our facility, all this material would have ended up in the landfill if we were not here. So to see that mark and that impact that we're making is just so satisfying.
Bharat Tasatu is TerraCycle's Senior Director of North American Operations.
Chip wrappers, chopping bags, anything what we call as mixed flexible plastic is our #1 stream that we get here.
Zaki calling on buyers to vote for the environment with their dollars.
How do we help waste have a better solution than what you have today? So at minimum, if you're going to buy an object, let's make sure that you can recycle it. But then let's also maybe rethink how the object is made and maybe even how you consume it, so that the idea of garbage disappears.
There are completely free programs you can participate in by going to TerraCycle.com that are underwritten by agreements with brands. The company just opened a drop-off hub in South Suburban Cook County, South Holland.
Watch breaking news on YouTube.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that news piece. So this is just kind of a map of where TerraCycle operates. We operate now in over 20 countries worldwide. Again, in the United States is where our headquarters is in Trenton. We also work in Canada. And then our second biggest office is actually in London, which services our programs throughout Europe. And then we have a foundation in Thailand as well, which I think we have a slide on. So TerraCycle has partnerships and arrangements with over 650 major brands. And we've been consistently growing now for 21 years. And as really the world's experts on the recycling of difficult to recycle waste streams, we serve on the board of quite a few organizations that are looking to address the waste crisis, including advisory boards on the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, World Wildlife Fund, World Economic Forum, and so forth. And over the years, we've won over 200 awards for sustainability and innovation. I think the award that we're most proud of is recognition from the United Nations a few years ago with our Momentum for Change Award for helping to address the ocean waste crisis. So in this program, as you know, there's great big patches of garbage floating on our oceans, and unfortunately, much of those plastics cannot easily be recycled because they're too broken down by the salt water and the sun. So what TerraCycle did is our material scientists collaborated with the material scientists from Procter & Gamble and figured out a formulation where we could integrate a large percentage of ocean plastics into regular consumer packaging. And so we did that with Procter & Gamble. And for instance, the Head and Shoulders bottle you see here on the right, which is available in some markets, actually integrates a large amount of ocean plastic. So what we did through this program is we're helping to utilize the plastic waste that's being collected from the oceans, and hopefully at some point we'll stop entering the oceans. But in the meantime, we're creating a market for that to help incentivize its collection so that it can be used in new consumer packaging that can then become curbside recyclable. We engage in all kinds of very interesting projects as well to call attention to recycling. If you watched the Tokyo Olympics a few years ago, all of the podiums, the award podiums, were created by TerraCycle out of difficult to recycle waste that was collected from the Tokyo area. And more recently, in the Paris Olympics over the summer, we did the same thing. We worked with Procter & Gamble and other partners, other retail partners, to collect difficult to recycle materials and created the podiums from those. And a little closer to home, here's an example of an upcycled art project that our in-house design team created. This is a giant soccer ball that's actually composed of bottles and cans that were collected from within the Philadelphia Union soccer stadium. This was the first soccer stadium in the United States to go zero waste, and it's underwritten by Subaru, the stadium is. So the stadium, to commemorate this achievement, commissioned TerraCycle to create this giant soccer ball that's created from the waste collected in the stadium. TerraCycle, as I mentioned, also has a foundation that's based in Thailand, where we have a full-time staff of about 40 people who set up river traps, like the one you see here on the rivers and canals in the Bangkok area, to stem the flow of plastics from the rivers and canals into the ocean. And then we work with the communities there to help address the inadequacy of their waste collection system there. to hopefully stem the tide of the waste that's entering the ocean through these canals. We also work, you don't have to go all the way to Thailand to find problems with the recycling infrastructures. In our own country, roughly 30% of the United States has no curbside recycling, including in places like the Chicago suburbs, as you heard in the previous video. We work with communities here in the United States by setting up things like this recycling station or recycling hub, where for locations where there is no curbside recycling, folks can take their recyclables right to a hub like this. And if this is something that your community needs or may be interested in, we're happy to discuss how we could implement something like this. We're working on a similar type of hub program that was just, this is actually a rendering you're looking at for the National Park Service. The National Park Service has very ambitious zero waste goals, and to help with those goals, we're piloting a project at Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming that will allow the 2,000 to 3,000 campers, RV and tent campers every night to recycle the materials they utilize when they exit the camping areas. And yeah, this is a partnership with Keep America Beautiful. So now on to the cigarette program. So about a decade ago, as I'm sure everybody on this call knows, cigarettes are the most littered item on the planet. And about a decade ago, we charged our material scientists with the task of trying to come up with a way of recycling the cigarette butts. As we know, the cigarette butts, the filters themselves are a nasty type of plastic called cellulose acetate. They absorb all the toxins from the cigarette smoke and wreak havoc on the environment. So we charged them with coming up with a way of recycling the cigarette butts, and they were able to do that. And this program, which is free to organizations like KAB affiliates, municipalities, and even individuals who want to clean up cigarettes in their environment. This program has thus far, over the course of the past decade, successfully recycled roughly roughly 750 million cigarettes worldwide, 250 million cigarettes in the United States alone. When we talk about cigarette waste, the obvious issue that we see visibly is the aesthetic degradation of areas where there's large amounts of cigarette litter. We've all seen places where there's cigarette litter scattered everywhere, and it really does bring down the character of a location. It has an negative economic impact and so forth. But it's important to remember when we talk about cigarette waste is that it's not only an aesthetic and a visual problem, but it truly is an environmental problem. As I mentioned, cigarette butts are composed of cellulose acetate, a type of plastic that's already in a very shredded form. And it absorbs all the toxins from the cigarette waste, from the cigarette smoke rather. And then typically, and in Florida, of course, you have a lot of coastal communities, and you know that it very typically large amounts of that cigarette waste winds up in the water, whether it's through storm drains, through runoff, through torrential downpours and so forth, or through tides from beaches. That cigarette waste winds up in the water. And when it does, that's where it wreaks the worst havoc. If you take a used cigarette butt and you put it in a bowl with a goldfish, that goldfish will die. Please don't do that. But just as an example of the type of the type of environmental issue cigarette smoke or cigarette butts create, when large amounts of cigarette waste wind up in waterways, they render lakes, rivers, streams, and so forth lifeless, and they're a huge contributor to the microplastic issues we see in the sea now. Fish, turtles, other sea life will consume cigarette butts, or they will be subject to the toxins that permeates from the cigarette butts, and it will kill them, and it will prevent them from reproducing and thriving. We've known this for years. The most recent study on this was published in the Journal of Microplastics and Nanoplastics just last year. It's conducted by the University of Gothenburg, and it really highlights the negative environmental impact of cigarette litter. So all the steps we can take to mitigate that and to reduce the amount of cigarette litter is going to help negate these negative effects. Now, there are things that we can do that are tremendously impactful in terms of reducing cigarette litter. Keep America Beautiful, as you know, through their cigarette litter prevention program, has done amazing things, not only in helping to fund initiatives to reduce cigarette litter, but also in research aimed at studying the effects of cigarette litter and studying also ways to reduce cigarette litter. Their last such report, in their 2020 National Litter Study, they did a lot of research around smoking, around the placement of cigarette receptacles. And what they found was that where cigarette receptacles are placed in what are called transition areas, there will be a significant reduction in cigarette litter in that vicinity. So typically on the order of about 60 to 70% reduction in cigarette litter where there's a cigarette receptacle placed within eyeshot of a location. And the transition area is nothing more than a place between where somebody's allowed to smoke and where somebody's no longer allowed to smoke. Those are the locations where cigarette butts tend to accumulate. So think in a main street outside a restaurant, a non-smoking restaurant, that makes sense because that smoker who's going to the restaurant is going to take that last drag of the cigarette before they go in and have dinner. And if there's no receptacle, if there's no place for the proper disposal of the cigarette, but they're not going to put it in their pocket, they're going to throw it on the ground, unfortunately. So other types of transition points include by employee entrances of manufacturing and warehouse facilities, entrances to beaches or boardwalks, parking lots of parks. So by placing receptacles in those transition areas, there can be a huge reduction in cigarette litter. We know that to be the case. And thankfully, we have organizations like Keep America Beautiful, which on a national level, so through their CLPP programs, helps municipalities and affiliates fund the placement of receptacles in those areas. So if your affiliate has never applied for a CLPP grant, I encourage you to look into that and to consider doing so. So now next we're going to show you a video of what the cigarette butt recycling process looks like. It's pretty fascinating.
How do we recycle hard to recycle waste like cigarette butts? Cigarette butts are the most commonly littered item in the world and account for roughly 38% of roadway waste. Unfortunately, many people think that a cigarette butt will decompose. What they don't know is that the filter in a cigarette is made from plastic. And this plastic can't be recycled through municipal programs. At TerraCycle, we've developed a specialized process to collect and recycle cigarette butts. When you send us your shipment of cigarette butts, we receive it at one of our TerraCycle material recovery facilities. There, we first scan it in to register the shipment information, including weight, date, and the type of material collected. The shipments are then aggregated so they can be efficiently sent to one of our many processing partners. When the shipments are opened, we do a visual inspection to sort out the outer packaging from cigarette packs. This flexible plastic is recycled through our flexible films recycling process, where it is converted into granules that are sold to manufacturers to be used in products like industrial drainage piping. The cigarette butts are shredded so we can better separate their individual materials. The shredded material is screened to separate the tobacco. The remaining material is then washed to remove contaminants such as ash and tar. The water also helps to further separate paper from cigarette filters. Wastewater is recirculated and then sent to a wastewater treatment company for safe disposal. The washed, shredded material is separated by material type through sink float separation. This uses water to separate commingled materials based on their density. Paper and any remaining tobacco sink to the bottom. They are then removed, dried, and mixed with other organic materials to create compost. The cigarette filters, which are made from a type of plastic called cellulose acetate, float in water. They are dried and then densified into powder. The powder is then sold and used in products like hand tools and buttons. And that's how we're eliminating the idea of waste when it comes to cigarette butts.
So that is the recycling process. As I mentioned, worldwide, we've recycled about 750 million cigarette butts. To put that into perspective, what 750 million cigarette butts look like, it's roughly the same weight as a fleet of 8 Boeing 737 jet airliners. So even though each cigarette butt is tiny, collectively the impact of this program has been enormous, and we're still growing it. Now I'm going to hand it over to Karina, who's going to talk a little bit about how you as a municipality or as a KAB affiliate can participate in this free program.
I'm just muting you. You have to turn your volume off. Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you, and thanks for having us. So it is very easy to get started with this free program. You quite simply just go on terracycle.com, and all you need to do is create an account and then join the cigarette program. So by doing those two things, you're in the program, and when you have cigarette butts from cleanups, from infrastructure you might have, collect it, and then on your account, you will generate a free UPS label, and from that label, you'll ship it back to us. And then on your profile, any shipments that you send to us, we will, once we scanned it in, we will weigh it. So you will have the amount on your dashboard of how much you've sent in, so that throughout the year, you can see how much you've recycled with us. And then in addition to that, we do donate $1 per pound to keep America beautiful. And then on top of that, we're doing a incentive for affiliates. So if you haven't signed up, I'm happy to provide a link for that, but we will be providing $1 per pound to all local affiliates for any of the cigarette waste that you've sent in. And we kicked that off last year, so we can retroactively add in any shipments you've done this year, and then we will be extending it for the next year as well. So very easy, just join our TerraCycle account, sign up for the program, and then just start shipping in some of your cigarette waste with us. So we accept more than just the cigarette waste. So we know that when smokers start a new pack, they might have the plastic wrap from it. We will take all of that material. Also, if you're doing any cleanups and there's maybe a bit of sand or other kind of debris, don't worry about, having to meticulously separate the cigarette waste. You can send that back to us and we will recycle it as well or compost it. We do offer receptacles for sale. They are not a requirement. So if you have existing infrastructure, feel free to use that. We do sell these online, and also through the CLPP, we offer these receptacles. And we can work with you also on the stickering here, because we do know a lot of places are going non-smoking. So we do have a version of the sticker where it says, you are entering a non-smoking area, please extinguish your butt here. And then we've also been working to create different event collateral. So we got this inspiration from the folks at Keep Virginia Beautiful. That's their image on the right, because we know there's a lot of, big events and people are smoking in outdoor festivals and things like that. So we have artwork we can help kind of provide that you have on a sandwich board and then have like a bucket or something next to it so that people at that event are able to recycle their cigarette waste, and it doesn't end up in the park or beach or wherever you're hosting your event, and you're leaving that place in maybe in a better way than when you started it. And we also have a bunch of these fun posters that we can provide as well. Kick ash, the butt stops here. The earth even has a little butt. Put your butts to work. So just being playful with the messaging. And then I'm gonna, we have a number of case studies we're gonna share as well. So I'm gonna play this video from Keep New Hanover Beautiful and some of the work they've done and how they've activated the program.
Keep New Hanover Beautiful has taken up a project that includes collecting and recycling cigarette butts. Cigarette butts are the #1 source of litter across Wilmington and around the world. Dick Brightman, president and executive director, says that while devices to collect used cigarettes have been around for a while, those discarded butts still end up in landfills, but they're using special canisters in hopes of changing that.
We give those to organizations. We install them, we service them, and then we replace them when the weather has beaten them up so much that they can't be used anymore. And that's the primary means for collecting our cigarette butt filters.
Once the cigarette butts are collected in the canisters, they are sent off to a company in New Jersey called TerraCycle. TerraCycle then separates the paper, tobacco, and filters. The paper and tobacco are composted, and the filters broken down in an 8-step chemical process so that they can be used in wood manufacturing products such as decking and furniture. A product created by TerraCycle was actually sent to Keep New Hanover Beautiful to be locally enjoyed.
The picnic table weighs 700 pounds. As I say, it's 8 feet long, and it's a monster, and it's made out of recycled filters. And it is now sitting in the beer garden of Wrightsville Beach Brewery, and we're happy for that.
Keep New Hanover Beautiful is number 8 in the nation for organizations collecting and recycling cigarette butts. They have collected almost 2 million units of them since spring of 2017. In Wilmington, Marianne Caldwell, WWAY News.
I also want to add, as part of the incentive program, we've created a leaderboard as well. So anyone that signs up for that, you can kind of see where across the U.S. How many people are recycling cigarettes through Keep America Beautiful. And I'm going to pass it back to Eric for some of the other case studies.
Keep New
So participation in this program is very versatile in terms of how different municipalities or affiliates implement it. So in some programs, like the example you saw of Keep New Hanover Beautiful, which is the Wilmington, North Carolina area, coastal community, they implement the program through a cadre of volunteers that set up the receptacles in the community, and then service them, empty them, and ship off the waste to us. In other communities, it's different. So for instance, city of Pittsburgh, it's done through the Business Improvement District, the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership, where they're able to utilize a funded staff of that is responsible for the implementation and the servicing of the receptacles. And very often, Keep America Beautiful affiliates will coordinate with other sorts of government units. So for instance, close to us in the state of Pennsylvania, Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful has connected with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, and encouraged them to set up cigarette receptacles at all the highway welcome areas and at the parking lots of state parks. And then they coordinate with them to make sure that the receptacles are serviced, and as well any cigarette waste that's collected from parking lot sweeps, sidewalk sweeps, and litter cleanup activities are all sent to us through our program. So it's a very effective way to enhance the impact of what a KAB affiliate is doing locally by reaching out and coordinating with government programs and government actors. The private sector too, we've got some amazing participants in this program. In this example here, all of the Amazon's North American customer fulfillment centers. These are the massive warehouses where all the stuff we order from Amazon comes through. At all of these facilities, they've set up receptacles in their covered smoking areas for employees, as well as in the parking lots and by the employee entrances. There's about 300 Amazon facilities that participate in this now. And their reason for participating, while they are now they have a sustainability team that's trying to enhance their ability to recycle things, they're looking at this through the eyes of really kind of community development and community relations. But when an Amazon facility goes up, it's very typical. It's very typical that they get a call from their local municipality sewer department, breaking the news that since this facility went up, we're seeing a lot of cigarette butts in our rivers and streams and clogging up our waste systems, our waste and sewer systems. And that happens because of the cigarette waste that's run off into the storm drains and so forth. So Amazon implemented this program. First, they tested it with a facility in New Jersey and then expanded it nationally. And what they're seeing is a huge reduction in the amount of cigarette butts that are winding up in the adjacent rivers and streams and sewage systems. So it's having a really good impact, not only on reducing litter, but reducing those environmental and economic costs. This is a fun one. Dollywood participates in the program through the Keep Tennessee River Beautiful affiliate. They've set up receptacles throughout Dollywood, and they're up to about from this one amusement park, about 500,000 cigarette butts that have been recycled. We're also seeing through, for instance, Keep Virginia Beautiful. They've coordinated with the Richmond NASCAR track, and in Tennessee, Keep Tennessee Beautiful is also coordinating with Bristol Motor Speedway. These are events where a lot of smoking goes on, a lot of cigarette litter happens. So again, as Karina mentioned before, they've tried to set up centralized locations where participants can bring cigarette litter, as well as traditional installed cigarette receptacles. I think at Bristol, they've installed 60 of these receptacles to reduce the amount of cigarette litter, not only in the direct vicinity of the park, of the NASCAR track, but in like the parking lot areas and so forth, tailgate areas and so forth. Also in the private sector, casinos are a big one. We all know a lot of smoking happens at casinos. Some of our biggest program participants are casinos. This one casino, Shumash Casino, is just a tribal casino located in Southern California. This one location has recycled roughly 33 million cigarette butts to date. The Shumash and the Shumash tribe have a really ambitious zero waste program, and they've been recognized for their zero waste program and the success of it. And cigarettes are just but one part of their efforts, but it's something that they take a lot of pride in. Other casinos as well, in Canada, for instance, this is Caesars in Windsor, Ontario, participates. We've got about 36 or so casinos throughout North America that participate, and that number is growing. Hard Rock, I know they're based in Florida, but their Atlantic City casino just launched the program. And another one, a cruise lines frequently participate in this program. Carnival Cruise Lines was noting that a lot of cigarettes from their smoking decks were just being tossed overboard. So in 2015, they launched a huge campaign to try to mitigate that, educate their guests about the hazards and harms associated with that. And to date, their North American fleet has recycled over 42 million cigarette butts. And a little more recently, Disney Cruise Line came on board, and they participated in the program since 2022, very successfully. To date, they've recycled roughly 2.8 million cigarette butts, as well as they participated in a number of other TerraCycle programs, recycling around 7,000 pounds of difficult to recycle materials to date through TerraCycle's free programs. So that is a kind of a little bit of background on TerraCycle and the cigarette program. As I mentioned, it's free. It's very easy to implement. There's no minimum requirements in terms of how much you have to ship. The shipping is free. We recycle not only the cigarette waste, but the bags that you tie up the cigarette waste in and the cardboard packaging that it comes in. It's really a great program to bring awareness, not only for the recycling component and the litter mitigation, but also to really call attention to cigarette waste as an issue and to educate the public that cigarette butts are not inert. They're not harmless. They do pose a problem. And when people start recognizing that they are plastic and that they are a hazard, hopefully the mindset changes and it becomes less quote acceptable to just toss them out car windows or onto sidewalks and so forth. So we'd love to answer any questions.
We're happy to share the presentation as well. I know there's an ask for some of the videos.
Thank you, Karina. Do any of our attendees have any questions for Eric and Karina?
Hi, this is Rhonda, Winter Haven. What is there? Can you help me understand how we can maybe look at getting one of those hubs? I took a picture of it. It was earlier on because we legally, technically, I guess, officially do recycling, but we really don't do recycling. And right now, our municipality does not have a community drop off. While they'll still pick it up once a week on the trucks are too contaminated, so they go nowhere. So are those hubs that you showed, the blue bin, is that something that would be available? And yes, what would that look like as far as reaching out to my municipality to see if we could partner in something like that?
Yeah, certainly. So this is these hubs are something that we manufacture at TerraCycle, and we offer them to communities. They're typically funded through grants. So in the example of this one that you see here was in Cook County. So that's the Chicago suburbs, Chicago's south suburbs where this is installed. This is installed at a county college in a satellite parking lot, allowing people from the vicinity to come by and drop off their stuff. So in this example was funded through an American Rescue Grant that dates from the pandemic. The hub that is at that the National Park Service is piloting with Keep America Beautiful at Grand Teton, that is being funded through a grant from the National Park Foundation. Where other potential means of funding these hubs are through the federal infrastructure grants. I'm not sure about Florida, but in some states there are state recycling grants that counties can or even municipalities can obtain that could be used for things like this. So there's a variety of kind of funding sources to fund this. And once it's in place, there's a variety of means of servicing it. So, for instance, in Cook County, I mentioned the hub is located at a college, a county college called South Suburban College. The college uses their work-study students to sort and then basically to sort and manage the facility, manage the hub. In the National Park Service, it's one of the vendors, Grand Teton Lodge Company, that is essentially volunteered to fund this. In other cases, it could be a KAB affiliate. It could be employees of a municipality or county or a business improvement district. And there are for many of these waste streams, there's going to be a local waste hauler that would love to get their hands on, for instance, aluminum cans and cardboard, which have a lot of value, or even certain types of plastics. And for those programs or those waste streams where there are not municipal programs available or municipal haulers that will take it, there are TerraCycle programs that will take and recycle those waste streams. So, for instance, the hub in Chicago, a number of the waste streams are recycled through local haulers, and then there's others, things like beauty packaging, sauce packs, like Capri Sun type drink pouches, things like that are all recycled by TerraCycle. And what happens there is the folks that are managing the hub, in this case, the work study students, once they'll take from the hub, they'll basically box up every so often, the various waste streams, slap on a free label through TerraCycle's related program, and then ship it off. And then all that data is available right on their account on our website so they can see over time how much they've recycled in each of the waste streams. So certainly this is a great solution for municipalities or counties that don't have curbside recycling or have very, very limited curbside recycling, allowing them to kind of expand what folks in their community can recycle. And again, it can be funded through grant money. Not only the actual hub itself, but the operation of the hub can be funded through grant money or volunteers or so forth. So there's lots of creative ways to start the conversation with the municipality, and we're always happy to join that conversation as well. So feel free to reach out to me and Karina, and we'll be happy to sit in on a Zoom call with the municipality and see how we can help make this happen.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, because where we are, city says they're recycling, but the county has officially stopped. So people that live in city not proper, unincorporated, they're like, what do we do now? So they have no resource or options. So I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Super. Yeah. Thanks. We'd love to chat.
Eric, are there other, besides the CLPP program, are there other programs that are that TerraCycle does that are without cost on our side, or is it just the CLPP program?
So no, we have a number of waste streams. So TerraCycle has what are called brand funded programs for a number of waste streams. And they range for things for different types of beauty packaging, certain types of chip bags, flexible film. We've got a whole bunch of different programs. Now, some of them are brand specific, but what I will say is that they're brand specific insofar as we can't market it for multiple brands. So for instance, like just an example, like Takis, which are those hot kind of chips that kids love. So we have Takis sponsors a program for that's marketed for their brand of chip bags. Now, the kind of secret there is, even though we can't market it universally for all chip bags, when somebody sends in chip bags under that program to our material recovery facility, our employees are not looking for what brand bags, as long as they are the right type of material. In this case, that chip bag material, we're going to recycle it. So, and there's quite a few. There are dozens of different programs for different waste streams that can be recycled by communities for free, by individuals or communities through free.
Is there like a list or somewhere on your website, or maybe you can like send that to us, a link?
Absolutely. So our website contains kind of a bunch of these programs, a whole bunch of these programs, but we also have a list that we can send to you guys with the program that kind of narrows it down to some key programs or some key waste streams that really work well in the context of municipalities or community collections, such as.
That's great, because I really loved Rhonda's question, and I think it's really great, but I do recognize that funding is definitely an issue for a lot of areas and locations. And so if we can bank on some of these sponsored from the companies or free options like the CLPP program, and show potentially the success of like chip bag recycling or the cigarette recycling, that's like a good way to bring that into our communities, but then potentially use that as like hey, these worked really great and these are free. Could we potentially get money to expand it, to do this, and this?
No,
so I think
absolutely. And that's absolutely, really, we don't, communities can only do so much depending on what their budgets and what they're allocated. But that's why we provide these free programs and get the brands to sponsor essentially the waste issues that they've created. And we do this, with communities. We also do it with like school districts. In fact, I'll let Karina, maybe you want to talk about what you're doing with Orange County. Yeah.
Good ideas. We recently launched this school year with Orange County to their 215 schools across the county in Florida. We basically helped them get started on TerraCycle, and that once they started the school year, every school had an account to start recycling with TerraCycle. And we let them kind of self-select on this list of free programs of what works for their school. So some things they were thinking about were like the sauce packets in the cafeterias, those juice, those, what are they, like juice pouches, I guess they're called. And then another thing that I've always think is really great is some of these bigger like items like toys and things like that you know you don't need to recycle on a regular basis, but you know, thinking with the holidays coming up, people need to maybe clear out some of the old toys. You could do community collections, maybe like after Thanksgiving or something, that all those toys that are broken and no longer can be used, doing a toy recycling drive.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Karina,
Yeah.
with that, so I know you said Orange County, Florida is doing that. That's really great to hear. I was not aware. I don't know if anyone else was aware of that, but this did you guys approach the school board or did they approach you? How did that work out?
So we did an outreach to schools across the U.S., and they were one of the ones that raised their hands very actively to get involved with us. So we've been working really closely with them. I will say their sustainability team is fantastic and been just a really great collaboration. So we set them up with all the accounts. We even have created a leaderboard so that all the schools in the district can kind of see what everyone's doing and getting a little bit of that FOMO kind of energy of like, oh, look, that elementary school is recycling, like maybe we could try this, and kind of getting some of that like the sharing of what's happening. And then also with that, through the setup, we actually found that historically Orange County schools have recycled over 9,000 pounds with TerraCycle. So we already had a few kind of champion schools that they didn't even know existed in their district. So there's always a few of those out there, but it's always great to kind of elevate those stories and to know what else is happening in your community.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and we hope we'll have at some point soon like a case study on the Orange County program, and we would love, you know, for you folks to go to your local school districts and say, hey, look what Orange County did. You know, they're like the seventh biggest. I was surprised here. They're the seventh largest school district in the country. But this could work at smaller school districts as well. It doesn't have to, but it's always more efficient when it comes at the district level and when you get the buy-in from administrators at the top level. We work with hundreds, thousands of schools across the United States and across the world. A lot of times it's just a teacher that will set up a bin in their classroom. And that's impactful. And it's great for engaging kids on recycling. That's one of the things. So even though the collection in a little classroom might not be huge, you're leveraging the power of these programs to really educate kids on recycling and get them to start habits that are going to last, good habits that are going to last a lifetime. And I think the model that we're working with Ocean County or Orange County on could be pretty universal across the board. And just, you know, really, as Karina mentioned, FOMO, like recycling works when it's gamified, right? Especially with not only with kids, adults too, but when you could gamify it, when you could, you know, create that leaderboard, create kind of internally some contests and things like that. When you pit people against each other, groups against each other for the benefit of all, right? It could be fun. And again, as we mentioned, that's something we're doing that leaderboard with the KAB affiliates that are participating in the cigarette program. And we're doing this with the school district. But this is, you know, that kind of gamification is really the best way to, you know, in our experience, to really engage people to participate.
That's great. Does anyone else have any questions while we still have Eric and Karina? No? Okay, great. I really appreciate both of your time, and I appreciate everyone who came today to chat or to listen. Yeah, if you guys could send me the list, that would be wonderful. And like I said, I record this, so I send out, I know there's not a lot of affiliates on today, but I send this out to all the affiliates. A lot of them kind of you know, like watch it when they can. And I recognize that everyone's got busy schedules, especially this time of the year. But we really appreciate you being here. And for those of you that don't know, Eric and Karina will also be at the conference. So those of you that are going to be at the conference, that'll be a great time to chat with them more about some of the programming they have. and Eric will actually be on our recycling panel as well. So I really appreciate both of your time for being here and chatting with all of us. It's always a pleasure. So thank you. And it looks like a lot of them are interested in some of the signage and in different stuff. And I'll make sure to include both of your emails on the email that I send out. So that way, if anyone has anything very specific that they would like to talk to you about. I know Rhonda would like to talk to you guys, and it looks like we've got some interest in some signage. So I will include all that information. Again, thank you. I appreciate you guys being here, and I hope
Is
everyone
really,
has.
yeah, it's really our pleasure. And yeah, we'll get you the materials so you'll have access to the deck we shared with you. And
Great.
if any questions come up, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always happy to chat. We really are.
Absolutely. Everyone have a great day and have enjoy the rest of your week and have a beautiful weekend. So thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.